January 3rd, 2026, 2 a.m. Over 150 American warplanes converged on one target. The mission: capture the president of an entire country. The result: the most complex military operation in the Western Hemisphere in decades. In under 3 hours, U.S. forces penetrated one of South America's most defended capitals, extracted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro from his compound, and flew him to a warship waiting offshore. This is a story of Operation Absolute Resolve, and what the military just pulled off is absolutely insane. This operation didn't start on January 3rd. It started months earlier. August 2025, the U.S. begins a massive military buildup in the southern Caribbean. Warships deploy. Bases in Puerto Rico, Colombia, and Trinidad activate. September 2025, CIA teams infiltrate Venezuela, tracking Maduro's movements using sources close to the Venezuelan president. Delta Force operators construct an exact replica of Maduro's safe house and rehearse the raid dozens of times. December 2025, the U.S. seizes Venezuelan oil tankers, tightening the noose. January 2nd, 2026, Trump publicly announces that U.S. military strikes inside Venezuela will begin. January 3rd, 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time, President Trump gives final approval. Within minutes, aircraft begin launching from 20 different bases across the Western Hemisphere: Puerto Rico, Colombia, Guantanamo Bay, Florida, Texas, Aruba, Trinidad. 20 locations, all synchronized. The force composition was overwhelming. F-22 Raptors, America's most advanced air superiority fighters. F-35 Lightning IIs, 5th generation stealth multi-role fighters. F/A-18 Super Hornets, carrier-based strike fighters. EA-18 Growlers, electronic warfare aircraft. B-1B Lancers, heavy strategic bombers. B-2 Spirits, stealth bombers. E-2 Hawkeyes, airborne early warning. Multiple ISR platforms, intelligence and surveillance. Dozens of combat drones. Special operations helicopters. Over 150 aircraft total, all converging on Venezuela. But the most dangerous job belonged to the helicopter crews. Flying just 100 feet above the Caribbean, they carried the extraction force. Delta Force operators and FBI agents heading straight into downtown Caracas. Here's what most people don't understand. Before a single bomb dropped, the U.S. had already won the digital war. U.S. Cyber Command and Space Command launched what General Dan Kane called non-kinetic effects against Venezuelan defenses. Venezuelan air defense radar systems went blind. Communication networks jammed. Their command and control structure paralyzed. American satellites repositioned to provide real-time intelligence. Every Venezuelan military movement was tracked. EA-18 Growlers added another layer, flooding Venezuelan frequencies with electronic interference. By the time Venezuelan commanders realized what was happening, it was already too late. They couldn't see the threat, couldn't communicate with their forces, couldn't coordinate response. 1 a.m. local time. The kinetic strike begins. B-1 Lancers and B-2 Spirit stealth bombers hit Venezuelan air defense sites across northern Venezuela. The Port of La Guaira erupts in flames. Surface-to-air missile sites eliminated. Radar installations destroyed. F-22 Raptors establish air dominance, ensuring no Venezuelan fighter could threaten the operation. F-35S provides sensor coverage and precision strike capability. The goal: create a safe corridor from the coast to Caracas for the helicopter force. The target: Fuerte Tiuna, Venezuela's largest military complex, where Maduro was sheltering in his residential compound. As the helicopters crossed from international waters into Venezuelan airspace, they were surrounded by a protective bubble of American air power. Fighters above, drones ahead, electronic warfare aircraft jamming everything. 1:01 a.m. Eastern Time. The helicopters arrive at Maduro's compound. Delta Force operators descend. They move through the compound with precision drilled over months of rehearsals. There's resistance. Armed guards open fire. But the Delta operators are prepared for this. Within minutes, they secure Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. Maduro would later tell a federal judge, "I am the president of Venezuela. I consider myself a prisoner of war. I was captured at my home in Caracas." The extraction force begins withdrawing. Venezuelan military units finally respond, opening fire as the Americans pull back. But American air support is overhead. Any Venezuelan force that tries to engage is immediately neutralized. 3:29 a.m. Eastern Time, just 2 hours and 28 minutes after the operation began. The helicopter force is over international waters. Destination, USS Iwo Jima. Maduro and his wife are on board an American warship. By sunrise, Venezuelans were waking up to a completely different reality. Lines formed at supermarkets and gas stations. Their president was gone. American forces had penetrated the heart of their capital. In La Guaira, families found their homes damaged from the strikes. Walls blown open, buildings destroyed. The presidential palace stood empty, guarded by confused armed civilians and military personnel. Meanwhile, Maduro was being flown to New York. The DEA released video of him being escorted down a hallway, the word "de" and way visible on the carpet beneath his feet. January 5th. Maduro appears in Manhattan federal court, charged with narco-terrorism, cocaine importation conspiracy, and weapons charges. He pleads not guilty, but he's now facing trial in the United States for crimes the American government says he committed as Venezuela's leader. The international reaction was immediate and fierce. Russia, China, Iran. They call it armed aggression and a violation of international law. Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Cuba, Chile, Uruguay all condemned the raid, demanded diplomacy over military action. Even in the U.S. Congress, the debate was intense. Senator Mark Warner asked, "Does this mean any large country can indict the ruler of a smaller adjacent country and take that person out?" Legal experts question whether calling it a law enforcement operation would endanger American troops globally. If it's not war, are captured soldiers entitled to prisoner of war protections? Trump's justification: "We're going to run the country. Venezuelan oil will be controlled by U.S. companies to reimburse America for damages caused by Maduro." The operation wasn't just about arresting a dictator. It was about controlling Venezuela's massive oil reserves, the largest in the world. From a pure military perspective, Operation Absolute Resolve was a masterpiece. 150-plus aircraft launching from 20 bases, all arriving at the exact right time and place. Cyber warfare disabling enemy defenses. Precision strikes creating a safe corridor. Special operations extraction under fire. All executed in under 3 hours with 0 American losses. It's being compared to the 1989 invasion of Panama to capture Manuel Noriega, but this operation was far more complex and precise. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, said it perfectly. What we witnessed is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We train, we rehearse not to get it right, but to ensure we cannot get it wrong. But the strategic implications go far beyond Venezuela. This operation demonstrated American capability to conduct complex strikes anywhere in the Western Hemisphere with overwhelming force. It also raised fundamental questions about sovereignty, international law, and the limits of American power. And for Venezuela, the country now faces an uncertain future with American forces declaring they'll run the country until a transition can be arranged. January 3rd, 2026 will be remembered as the day America executed one of its most ambitious military operations in decades. Over 150 aircraft, 20 launch bases, Delta Force operators, CIA intelligence, cyber warfare, precision bombing, a helicopter extraction from the heart of an enemy capital, 1 president captured, 0 American casualties. But the operation's success raises more questions than it answers. What precedent has been set? What does this mean for international law? And what happens to Venezuela now? What we know for certain: American military power, when fully unleashed, remains unmatched. Operation Absolute Resolve proved that when the United States commits to an objective, geography, defenses, and international borders won't stop it. The question isn't what America can do. It's what America should do. And that debate is just beginning. Subscribe for updates on the Venezuela.